When people say faith, that's what they mean. The sync coherence between your actions in your life and the nature of God. If you won't even entertain the idea of it, much less of the soul or the spirit, if you're a spiritualist, at least you're kind of good, kind of humble. Do science, you're fine too, but there's a debate of Richard Dawkins with a scientist Christian lady. She said it made all her mental health problems go away. It makes sense. You just have to be smart enough. And here's the thing, good enough. The good has to come to you. That's wisdom. If you put your finger on a stove and it was hot and it hurt you, or you tasted food and it was rotten, or you saw Hondalore coming up to your kingdom when you go, be banished. I don't know that guy. Like, this is the truth of things. Good faith, more like God's face. If you see it, you die. Book of Enoch describes the 10th highest level of the kingdom as his face. No one can be in the Godhead. No one else could be trusted with it. If you're given a mortal vessel and you're given the capacity to know good from evil, then you can prove yourself worthy to go up there. You can become unrun. You can become good tasting food. It's kind of magical. Except you're not food. What if you're not good? I made a poem about it. It's just spoken word. It's not rhyming or whatever. Isn't spoken word rhyme? I don't know. It's poetic in a bad way. It's not a bad poem, but it's bad. It describes my personal hell of getting devoured by the serpent. That's what I called it. Evil of this world. But if you refuse evil and you accept knowledge, it can be given to you, and then you realize this. Okay, that was kind of my description of some things. But as I said, no one can be in the Godhead except he is. He kind of distributes himself into us, and then what is good can be taken back up and used for something. Now, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's to all better understand ourselves. I can't say, though. Not with any certainty yet. But that transforms things. People claim to prove it scientifically. It's not to do with how smart you are. You just synchronize more in that case. And you're given the capacity to... But coherence is a choice. Take two tuning forks too far away from each other in space and time, they won't cohere anymore, even though they are synchronous. Maybe I have that backwards. They're kind of synonyms. I understand the things, I just have issues in execution. The function of it. But things can travel faster than light. Quantum entanglement. Morphic resonance. Humans are that way. The shape we are is the resonance. The two things are resonating together. Relativity is another thing. Of course, what? But the shape, the morph, which is what that means, morphic resonance, it repeats and it stays the same. It still resonates as human, like going back 2 million years. The entanglement, every particle in the universe is to each other. But the fundamental quanta is a thought. This is how it goes. Space-time, light is above that. Quantum entanglement and spirit, the word itself, reality, geometry, algebra, language, ethics, truth, fundamental construct of things, and then you have what's above that, which is everything. But we are conscious awareness, all we are. Then it repeats forever in infinitely varying ways of the same repetition, so it's not repeating. Paradox break. Beautiful. That's where you want to go. And that's the way it's spun. Death is a curseless end. It has no sting, and that's literally true. Literality and metaphors are the same thing. A metaphor is but a conscious awareness trying to explain to you because language isn't a direct representation, the truth of a literal phenomenon. What's the ultimate metaphor? A story. What's the story I intend to tell? Christian, scientific, and those things are unified. Semi-Ludditism, transhumanism, those are unified, and the two together. In the center is the unity, duality, non-duality, trinity, allness. Each of these things are good, but among them the most good is Christ. Not even Christianity, Christ itself. I wondered why I said itself. If consciousness and the identity of reality has a personalized name, that's the name. Christ is the consciousness's name. Yahweh would be like its projection or connection to us, since that's what the name was in the human physical world that was given, but that's not complete. That's what the transhumanists are onto. Now, that is good, but it's human transhumanism. You must, in the process of transcending humanity, not only become a higher form of it, but like not humanity anymore. Humanity is a little bad. It's not all the way bad. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying being human is tragic and humans can do evil things. So since there's more of us than ever, more bad things are happening than ever. Things could not be worse. Now's the perfect time to wake up. Wake up. You are you. Only you know you. That would be so lonely and you'd experience what my poem was like. No, you're connected to something higher. You're linked to the... I wondered why I said it. Richest divine paradise. Storing up treasures in heaven, quote unquote. Heaven is awareness, the good kind, rather than all the infinite other varieties that could spin off and really hurt you for infinite timelines. That's why you make an effort to know, whether through knowledge first or faith first, which is really just little kids. When they say bring forth the new kingdom on earth, that's what that would be. Bo Burnham wrote a song about it. He writes good songs, so I would listen to it. It's called From God's Perspective. Very funny and hypocritical in its overall themes. The theme is humanity or hypocrites. Right, dude? When we're us. Am I right, dude? By shining forth your good consciousness here on earth, instead of only going back selfishly, which is why you can't go back as hard or as easily or without as much severing of your soul, but without being good to people. You'll feel all the pain you caused. That's all. No more than that. Made in his image, there's a lot of analogies. By the way, because I'll forget to mention this, even if you're blind, you can still feel things. That's spirit and your thoughts. So, since light is what the spirit created, that's why that's below. But otherwise, it's like the most powerful, like enlightening, literally, force in the universe. The physical universe, it exists in above space and time, kind of. I mean, it's part of Einstein's equation, and he was Einstein. So I would listen, and I do, or try to. In the equation of the universe, whatever amount of mass is in it, that number, times the speed of light, which ties into quantum things and gravity, and we don't fully understand, or consciousness, squared. That's how much energy there is. I don't know if I'm reading the equation right when I say that, but that's a lot of energy. We don't know if it's infinite or not. We literally don't know that. All we have this is the double slit experiment and the changing and varying rate of the expansion of the universe based on, like, seemingly observation. And the dark energy may not be what we thought it was. Ye refute me without knowledge. I said that. Arrogantly. By the way, because I'll forget to mention this, even I would also like to add that the reason maybe God is doing all this, at least as you, should just be honored, listen to this, is to see if it's worth being himself in that state. And if you think that's stupid, people who are depressed, or you if you've ever just really been going through it for a little bit, but aren't chronically depressed, that's an illness, a problem. Looks like it's like an immunity issue, and among other things. And it's lifestyle too. It may be that the illness is keeping you from enjoying your lifestyle, or your lifestyle sucks, so you are mimicking an illness. And it may not suck because it's your fault, it may just suck and you're experiencing it. People debate whether or not to continue to exist as themselves all the time, and more than ever lately, because as I said, things are worse than ever. Technically, mathematically speaking. Now that you can't feel, but you can prove, which is why the world is all-inclusive. It's a multiplex unity, stolen again from Chris. Trying to see if it's worth being you. That's what bro was up to, maybe, in case you were curious. I would also, if you live in such a way that the same way the world could drive you to this, you drive the world at a higher level to this, to the divine equivalent of, man, I'm just gonna go with a police officer, put everyone's lives at stake, traumatize somebody, probably the police officer, maybe passerby, maybe yourself if you make it. That's really sad. We'll get him all like this. Oi, oi, oi. Me, roll the clip. Feature me, roll the clip. You know which one. You don't want to live in a world where he's all like that, I guarantee you. Where he says, you know what? I'm going to destroy you and then myself, man. At least in this incarnation. And then you get my poem. That's exactly what you get. You do not want to live in that world. It's dependent on your actions, how things turn out. A very, very serious, deep way. If you shine here too, even this place you can bring glory to, through glory to God, glory to you in the earth. But you have to choose God and follow Jesus the man. Listen to Matthew, it was really wise. It was really wise. If you don't even believe that there was a guy going around saying things to people in those days, which a lot of people did, then sorry, again, what I said earlier still stands. Unless you have genuine historical proof, in which case it is referred to the book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. It's a scholarly academic article based on old found skulls. The book of Matthew is so wise. I've really never heard a man say better things, except Jordan Peterson was almost there, but not better things, so no one. So you have to choose God, the global operator descriptors, the scientific 200 IQ man's term for it, which is very fitting. Then you want to follow Jesus first, because there hasn't been a better human. Like, historically, if we take him, like he was, I described him in a different video. A very admirable kind of person. Like, you wouldn't do what he did. Then let Christ, which is the name of consciousness, as far as I'm concerned, be in communion with you. So that's sort of its own thing, and he was a teacher of that. He won't force it on you. If you ask someone out and they say no to you, if in that situation you're a billionaire and you're ethical too, that's their loss. That's their call. You in that situation would say so. You're ethical. And you also know how lost they are without you, because you're a billionaire, and it's hard out here in this economy. Don't ignore ethical billionaires, but also try to be one. Like, really try. You'll at least be a decent millionaire instead of a broke imp. If someone you're not married to, your heart even, without ceremony, is or can be okay. Formal marriage is just ideal, but it isn't the ideal. That's to be spiritually married. And with spiritual marriage, there's consent. That's sort of definitionally what those things, it's like that equals that. And if your non-spouse touches you, what is that? Assault. In the story told in the Bible, God didn't even assault Satan for his free will. And he was responsible for all evil on earth in that story. In the cosmos too, there's something I'm calling, like in my head canon, like the unholy spirit, which is like the most traumatizing event of your life, either up until that point. Well, it's always up until that point. Every time that happens, it must be defined by Satan and the Holy Spirit as conceptual, abstract, symbolic ideas descending on your life, and you'll know when that is, because definitionally this is the worst moment of your life, after which you will either spiral, because you're traumatized, right? Either way, you will spiral and become, you'll go in your villain arc and you'll crash out, or you'll just destroy yourself, which is the ultimate way of doing that, because you don't even get revenge on your enemies in that case. The people who, like, did this to you, or let this happen to you. Or you go Super Saiyan, or unlock your Sharingan, and you become, like, the most powerful version of yourself ever until that point. And that can happen multiple times over your life, so you get repeated choices to do this. It's called anti-fragile stuff. It's sort of what the Sigma AI videos are telling you, in essence. Anyway, it's like the Deadpool scene with Handler in the movie Deadpool Registered Trademark emoji. If stopping the source of all death and evil in the world was so wrong that you couldn't take away the free will just in that case, then you're really okay. You're super good. You're very clothed. He is so good, kind, wise, and loving, and all-powerful, all under control, because death becomes an inversion, and evil and punishment and pain and torture becomes paradise and bliss and peace and relief, which I would call relief salvation, because relief is what you get when you treat a medical condition, and salvation would be a salve to save you. Kind of the combination of those two things, save you from pain and suffering, and flaw and error and failure and all those other terrible things. Anyway, entertain this thought experiment. That is why you do not blaspheme against the Holy Spirit. It's said that it's a person, but kind of a mysterious, shy, elusive one, who may be a dove or able to turn into a dove. I don't know. But he will go into us and let us become him, and that's beautiful, and is the only reason we have any retraction point to our source of origin and our place of resting in peace, as opposed to pain, I guess, or just non-existence, which is pain for humans to imagine, because sometimes we like being alive, and if we could stay alive for a long enough time, we all know we'd probably figure it out. There's this thing that wants to and will let you as long as you allow it. And don't blaspheme. To become part of God? Are you kidding? How dare you? I mean, I get it. It makes sense. Low-key spitting. Something's going to offer you the keys and is going to be the road upon which you step, and your guide and escort to becoming God, and you're just going to disrespect that thing. Like, no. You can't if you don't want to. But if you want to, you're a psychopath. I'm sorry. The way I'd put it in secular, atheistic, scientific terms, empirical terms, is the bridging gap between those. If you're going to let everyone die, and you're going to let reality, which is a serial killing mass murderer, the rules of reality dictate that everyone will die and it will do all of us in. Like some kind of unhinged monster. And you're just going to sit there and be a terrorist by passivity. By your passivity, you're going to allow that to happen to everyone. If a person did that to you, you'd be calling for the death penalty. But no, we have a cognitive bias. That it's okay because it's a reality. It's going to hurt you. Definitionally, fundamentally, more than any sadistic person will ever hurt you, because that person may do the most awful thing, but parts of your life will dwell outside of that person's influence on you, and you'll experience pain. Maybe if they're really, really sadistic, they could outdo it, but reality is still doing it through them, because it does contain the inherent allowance for and of evil. It just has death and the option to be a good person who does things the right way, whether you have a big brain or a smooth brain, and you do all these things, and you arrive at the point that they would determine. Causality remains true in the consciousness realm too. You can't just trespass against things that are like life, at least, and things that have a soul, so blood and neurons are sacred, and expect to get away with it. You just really can't do that. But instead of disallowing evil, he would let Satan do evil in the world through living things, because how else is it going to be done, or done to? And instead let all those who sin feel the weight of their sin in Sheol, which is Jewish hell, and it's kind of the way I think it must be. Not must be. Well, yes and no. It is that way, but it could be another way, and it doesn't have to be, and it isn't. But that's sort of like the fundamental torture space. Still save them from their own souls' wrongdoing. Purify and cleanse them, whatever that is, in the spirit. So whatever the soul is that can be attracted to the spirit through the spirit. You do not blaspheme. You do not blaspheme the spirit, because if you do, it pre-exists light and space-time. In order to feel evils in Sheol, you must still have consciousness, which is what I'm calling the spirit. So it has to be down there. Down isn't a place or a direction in this case, but the word. Suffering with you, in a way. And the only correct thing is for you to be tortured by the most evil version of your own mind. I know what that's like in this life. Atheists will think they get me. But here's the thing. Maybe you're getting me as an understanding, and that's okay, but you're not gonna, get me, dude. Because you'd say, oh, there's no consciousness, there is no afterlife. But would you like that? Would you want to die and lose access to all the good things of consciousness in this world? If you like this world? If you don't, and if you do not want to exist, and that is good, well then that's good to you. And so in a way, your consciousness has received the reward it wanted. But the only reason for that is because this world sucks, and we could do something to change that, you and me. But we don't, or we choose not to, rather. That's exactly what I was saying, but there you go. You know what that's like here, because I had the most traumatizing year of my life of 26 out of them. Out of 26, it was the worst, and it was because of my own mind. I think that would torture you and then take responsibility. The only correct thing is for you to be tortured by the most evil version of your own mind. And take responsibility for it, and then still save and love you, and I'll give you at the end of all knowing that you were both sides of it, but can also, I meant hug you. Well, hug you at the end of all of it, knowing that you were both sides of it, but can also completely torment you and cut you off from your true self. That is the point, and that is not something to disrespect or go against. Okay, I said this already. Because otherwise, out of order, because otherwise you will inherit your own merit. You will be tormented according to your own merit as such. Because if it's not a scientific proposition, by the way, it's a philosophical position. And I agree with science, which is a philosophical proposition, that truth and verifiable coherence between individual contours of reality is a good thing. But the truth is primary and superordinate. Anyway, I said what I said before, because if God spits you out of his mouth and you don't cause salvation or your own scientific terms, then you will fall. And it didn't work out so well for Icarus, so I wouldn't recommend trying to do it in thinking that'll save you from falling out of reality. Because it doesn't matter whether you're a consciousness or space-time fundamentalist first, whichever one you think is primary. If you die, either way, you don't exist anymore. It's not believing in one or the other, like a panpsychist who doesn't believe in a god, but they think that consciousness just is. Well, they believe the opposite of me scientifically, when I'm thinking scientifically, which is I think God is in the future. I'm Tony Stark about it, except he would actually be competent and do something. Either way, you fall out of reality and you cease to exist. Can you exist again, even in space-time? Yes, you could, and that's what I did. or came up with the idea of doing, that I always said was given to me, so that's what I say anyway. That would be the way out if that was the thing. But the key isn't that. Like, if you're a panpsychist, you may think you have limited consciousness after death. No, you could be yourself. The answer is a third, more mysterious thing. If you know that meme, you know it. It was really funny to me. I offer you all of these things because these 5 ideologies together, I believe, pose and form the ultimate good. I think they define what Christ is and should be, and I am still saying Christ is the name and identity, and like it would be on the driver's license and ID of consciousness itself. That's its name. What lends these 5 ideologies their good? Where does the authority and power and name of their goodness or badness come from? By consciousness, which itself defines whether something is good or bad. If it's unpleasant to the consciousness, it's bad. I want to purify and cleanse the consciousness landscape of horrible experiences. I've always said that is my goal. In the most pure, succinct terms, and then expand the scale and scope of it, but inwards instead of the way Elon Musk proposes. But those 2 things could both happen at the same time. He's just a rich guy who's smart, who said that that's the goal. Yes, that's the goal, but what's the point if it hurts? You want intelligence. You do, personally. Because it's the ability to get resources for yourself and solve things and understand them in the physical world and in your own mind at the same time. If you have more intelligence, it's only because, and it is what it is, if you have more intelligence, you have more synchronization with reality, which allows you to have better and better coherence. And that's a good thing that you would want. If you were intelligent, you would want to have super intelligence, but you do not want super intelligence. What you want is super intelligence that's loving. So what you want is a super intelligent, loving consciousness that's embodied and can do things for you. Now, culture and society, really, and nature are those things to an extent, but they also take a lot from you and they hurt you a lot. God doesn't do those things. Not if it's God. Then it's something else. Then reality is evil. That's what a super intelligence could be. You want without light. This is a side note. Without light, there is only direct immediate experience. The felt presence of immediate experience. There could be not a photon in the universe, and you could still feel something on your skin, but because light takes 7 minutes to reach us if the sun explodes, well, we die, but still, it would take 7 minutes to reach us, the light from the sun, without a fundamental background against which to rest for speed. This almost makes photons the fundamental unit of time. Without photons, there is no time. There is no, like, the 7 minutes. There's just what's happening to you right now, what you can hear, but that would have to travel at a speed, and the set of the universe is, well, I mean, there's higher things, which I'm saying are quantum entanglement and spirit and the felt present of immediate experience. There's only whatever, and never. I offer you all of these things, these 5 ideologies together, because I believe the ultimate good in them is the ultimate good, which is the one that unifies all of them in the center and at the edges. Yeah, that one. Christ, consciousness. Like I'm listing 2 ways of saying the same thing, which I am. Who you can't deny, because that is the source of your consciousness. It's just the name of consciousness. Again, I'm gonna have to edit this, so I don't know how that's gonna turn out. Repetition-wise, even your soul, space-time are inhabited by the same spirit, but it's the lowest dimensional form of the higher dimensions of space and time, which are no longer called space and time, because after 4D space, things become more, or time, after 4D time-space, things become more complex than we can fundamentally fathom as ourselves currently. But there is evil in There is evil in being humans. There is evil in technology. There is evil in science and Christianity. I offer with the Catholic Church sometimes, but fundamentally stem from humanity's behavior and a level of negative participation in and use of these things. Why recommend doing that or being your human name here, insert, but not recommend inheriting the identity of consciousness itself? I mean, the people who dispute whether he was a man or lived are as pathetic conversationalists as the fundamentalists who insist that he rose when they weren't there themselves and don't have a telescope that's also a time machine. That'd be a cool movie. If it's not part of your experience, you cannot confirm or deny its existence. And if someone else is telling you this, it's part of your experience because they're part of your experience. So I'm not wrong, because the same thing happens to all people, which would be your point if you were arguing with me this hypothetical in my head right now, and you would be right about that, but you wouldn't prove me wrong because we were talking about different things. That's what most of the arguments are. But there is no argument that you're conscious and hearing me talking to you right now. You are, well, who you choose to be, I'll say. With the Catholic Church. So energy exists. Me and Tesla like energy, vibration, and frequency, and also 369 apparently. Who doesn't like sex? People who don't like snitches, based people. I couldn't just say based people, there'd be no context. Ruined the joke by making the joke. That's the true anti-joke. Yeah. Except for that one that River made. That's not his real name. I offer you all of these things. Oh wait, I was saying something else. I'll keep reading in a second. Schizophrenic is just a smart person who didn't write their ideas down, so they're just stream of consciousness. A Rizzer, but it's a T. It's just a person with blissful childlike wonder who only writes things down and takes words literally. I said are already literal, but they don't think schizophrenically. So what I'm saying is, I don't know, be neurodivergent. That is what I'm saying, actually. It's a secret, though. I don't have time to tell, actually. That's the reason why. I don't know if it's a secret or an omission. It's an omission. But a secret if I die. Then I'll never be able to tell it. That's my worst fear, dude, so
Relationships. Did you know that before you were born you made a pact called the soul contract? This contract outlines the journey of your life with its challenges and relationships. These soul contracts are stored in the Akashic Records, a cosmic library that holds everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen. Imagine a complete blueprint of your life, designed with the wisdom of your higher self. A plan that details all the lessons you need to learn, the people you will meet, and the experiences you must have to fulfill your soul's purpose. But there's more. These contracts often involve karmic relationships, souls you've encountered in past lives with unresolved issues to settle. The challenges you face aren't random. They are deliberate choices crafted to promote your growth, resilience, and wisdom. Did you know that before you were born,